Do you want to save time in Excel? Then you definitely want to take advantage of the Quick Access Toolbar. You'll find this tool sitting above the ribbon. Right now it only has a few actions on it, such as save, undo, and redo. Let's look at how you can customize the Quick Access Toolbar and leverage it to save time in Microsoft Excel. I'm Bjork, the Software Pro. I'm also a certified Microsoft Excel expert. There are 3 different main ways for us to customize the Quick Access Toolbar, and these steps also apply in our other primary Microsoft Office programs, such as Word, PowerPoint, and Outlook. The first way for us to customize is look for this drop-down arrow at the right-hand side. You'll see the check mark next to those default actions, such as save, undo, and redo. There also are a number of actions here for file management. For instance, new, open, and you'll see that these start to be added to that Quick Access Toolbar. Perhaps quick print, print preview, and some common actions in Excel would be to sort. We might choose sort ascending and sort descending, but at some point we're running out of choices, and there's a lot more that we can add to this. One of the other ways to take advantage of the Quick Access Toolbar is to decide, do you want it above the ribbon or below the ribbon? Now, the default is to set it above the ribbon. Why would you want to move it below the ribbon? A couple reasons. Depending upon your version of Excel, I'm using Excel 365, the interface might make this a little bit more difficult to be able to read those tools or to see them clearly. Also, why do you want to have to go across that ribbon to get to those tools if the whole intention is for this to help you save steps, help you save time? In addition, when the Quick Access Toolbar is sitting above the ribbon, it is having to compete for space in the title bar here, where we have our workbook name and our Windows management tools and other options. To reposition the Quick Access Toolbar, one way is to simply look for this drop-down arrow and choose Show Below the Ribbon. And now we can see these actions much more clearly and in their own space. We also could have gotten to this by right-clicking on the Quick Access Toolbar or the ribbon and simply select Show Quick Access Toolbar above or below the ribbon. Another choice here, Customize Quick Access Toolbar, is one of the ways that we can go in and manipulate this so that we get a lot of control over exactly what's on the Quick Access Toolbar and even the order of those tools. Let's look at a second way to customize our Quick Access Toolbar. One of our most common actions in Excel is to create the sum function. And we find the sum function either under the Home tab or in our Formulas tab. Doesn't matter which way you want to go with this. To add a tool to the Quick Access Toolbar, you can simply hover over it and right-click, and here is Add to Quick Access Toolbar. But there's a little bit of a nuance to this, and that is if you also use any of the tools, any of the functions in this case, that are in that drop-down arrow, you may want to hover over the arrow instead. So let's try that. Simply hover over that, left-click, Add to Quick Access Toolbar, and not only do we have the auto sum, but we also can get to those other functions that are part of this tool. And let's go ahead and give it a try. So here is now our sum, and then use the other actions that we know in Excel. We can copy that down, for instance. We can build this as well, once again from the Quick Access Toolbar. And here's our average. We'll find that in the drop-down arrow, but here we'll have to teach it a little bit about what range to average, and we're set. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of how we can add those tools that we're using frequently, regardless of what ribbon we might find them in. Another quick example. When you're working with a lot of text data, especially with column headings, comments, notes, we often work with a feature called wrap text. Now in this case, I have a row of labels that are a lot longer than what would fit. I don't want to give up my precious column space by adjusting with that. Now I could just click on wrap text, either for that cell or the whole row. But in this case, I'll simply right-click on it, Add to Quick Access Toolbar, because this happens to be something I'll be using on a frequent basis. So now when I select that row, it doesn't matter what ribbon tab I'm in. Here is my wrap text, and we're able to put that to use. Our second way then is for us to find the option in our ribbon tabs and simply right-click to add it. Our third technique, we can get to this in a couple ways. As I showed you before, we could right-click and choose Customize Quick Access Toolbar. In this case, I'm going to go to that drop-down arrow and choose More Commands. Either of those choices get us to the same place. So now we're in the Options area. We could get to this as well by going File, Options, and Quick Access Toolbar. What you see on the right-hand side, this is what you've built so far. And so one of your options is to rearrange the order. For instance, I might want to move New File up towards the top. And I'm simply selecting the tool and then using the arrows on the right-hand side, either move them up or move them down. It can be helpful to have related actions together. So our file management, like open and save and print, and move those into a logical pattern. Whatever fits for you. But there are a lot of other things that we might not see here. We can add them to the Quick Access Toolbar. On the left-hand side, right now we see popular commands. And so this is one of many different categories that we could draw from. Let's look at the popular commands. As you scroll down, you can find some different choices. Save as, for instance, is a very common action that we use every day in Excel. If I want to put this on here, I'll select it and either double-click or choose Add. And then I might need to rearrange it a little bit. But what about things we don't see here in popular? Well, simply click in the drop-down and choose All Commands. Now you can also find those things that are located in some of these custom tabs, context-sensitive tabs, so we'll just go right into All Commands. Now here we have over 1,000 choices, and so you don't want to get too lost in that, but there will be things that you know that you're using frequently. So for instance, Close. I'll click into the list, type a letter C for Close, just to get me there a little faster. We could scroll down as well. And here I have Close File. So from that, I'll double click and that is added. And then also has the same icon, but I like this one as well. Close All. If I have 2 or 3 workbooks open, I could close them at the same time. I'd still be prompted about whether or not I wanted to save them. And here again, rearrange. So whatever you use frequently in Excel, is it something you can put on the Quick Access Toolbar to save time? Once you have this Quick Access Toolbar set up, simply choose OK. Excel will remember it, so it will be loaded the next time that you work with Excel, and you can continue to customize it as you start exploring those actions, those features that you're using frequently in Excel. Now you know 3 different ways to customize the Quick Access Toolbar so that you can save time in Excel and get the results that you want. This is Dawn Bjork. Thanks for watching.